First idea is called Me Do Good, Bizarro and Moral Relativism. Like understanding the relationship between good and evil and just like things that are meant to be the opposite of each other.
In the beginning, there was nothing but noise. Until...
Gotta change my shirt.
This is high tech, man.
Oh boy.
All right.
3, 2, 1. Let's go.
That's Paulo.
That's Keith.
That's Daniel.
That's Otis.
And we're
SupaKnowVa.
All right. So Daniel, what do you have for us today?
I've been reading philosophy a lot the last few years, kind of stuff that'll rot your brain. And, it comes at that from a few different angles, talking about philosophy of language, that things are just what we use them for. It's like good and evil are opposites, but only because we say they are, because it's useful to like frame them that way.
So is this something that you think like there is no like ultimate good or ultimate evil? There's all these levels.
do you believe in that, or do you agree to that?
Yeah, or is it?
No, I do. It happens to fit the it happens to fit the theme of the video, but that's kind of what I've arrived at from reading these folks. There's just like no like elemental good or evil.
So people aren't like born evil, or you think they become evil through like their life, or it's just that they're trying to achieve goes against the rest of society? Like
a little of both, I think.
So if you look at history's bad guys, right?
Right. Some folks are malicious and want to hurt, and others are just operating. One of the guys I'm reading uses the term language game, and that describes stupid things like, even though it's hard to come up with an example. Paulo, you were saying something though.
Yeah, I was gonna say the point was, like I watch all these shows too, and I read these philosophy books, back in college, and it's kind of a mind churner. It really does kind of put your psyche in a weird place. But basically, if you came to a planet where stabbing someone is a greeting, that's wrong. You shouldn't stab someone. But in that planet, that is perfectly fine.
If we all agree it's fine, it's fine. And that can be like, there's still certain logical holes that you can have with that. Like, if everybody just has the wrong collective assumption that's,
in dark side is good.
Right.
Or perceived as good, even though he's ultimate evil.
Right.
Right.
So I'm thinking more like in realistic terms, like say for instance, killing and eating cows could be perceived as evil in other cultures, right?
Correct. Yes.
Because they maybe look up to a cow, or a cow is holy, or what.
The way you say it's
but you know what I mean.
Man. Yeah, the Brahmin.
I was reading about Hinduism.
Yeah.
Last year, it went into a lot of interesting stuff. Didn't talk about the cows. I still don't understand.
But in some cultures, this just as an example,
Brahmin,
there could be other things like that other people don't do. Just eating meat in general, a lot of people are against that.
Veganism is a culture,
right?
For
so
sure.
To those people that eat meat might be evil because they are harming other life forms.
The cruelty of animals.
Right. So to them, that's evil. But to the meat eaters, it's life. It's survival. Right. So is that kind of what you're getting at? Is that evil is just levels of perception, or?
Yeah, it's a construct for sure. I agree with that.
It's something that.
But then there is true evil. If you look at like a serial killer, those people,
but again, in an island full of serial killers, if serial killing is the pastime or something,
then everybody would be dead.
But that's just how it is, you know,
There can
like
be
just
only
like
one.
how. So
You
like
only
if the praying mantis eats the bug that fertilizes
eats
it,
mate.
the mom,
That's
yes,
like, yeah,
that's wrong, right? But that's the
in a
thing.
human context, yeah.
You know, that's
Okay,
the
so-
Are you concerned about this, Paulo, as like a dad to be, that like
no.
the feast will begin?
I really hope Lauren does not bite my head off. But we'll see. We'll see what happens when the babies are.
So Australia started out as a penal colony, right? So all of the people there, well, all of the people that were shipped there, not the original people that are still there.
Right, the Aboriginal Australians.
Right,
yeah.
right. They were all criminals, right? And so you could say, yeah, they could have walked around and everything they did was legal because they were all criminals, right? But, you know, right. But at some point, you know, they said, hey, we should be doing this, that, and the third, because
but that's what Daniel, you know, is trying to prove, right? They're saying,
that
okay,
you can build a morality from like,
there you go,
our level of what our needs are, instead of like asserting that there is a higher truth to which we all must conform,
like
that determines what good and evil is. Good and evil is about what our needs are.
So I think it comes down to what's good for the common man, right?
Right.
So obviously you can't go around killing people, right? Because that's not good for anybody. Because
we generally determine we want to live. Yeah.
For survival.
You kill the farmers, then you won't have anybody to make the food for you. So like,
yeah.
Yep.
So between the four of us, if we were on an island and it's lawless, there's no government, and then all of a sudden, you know, Keith is like, all right, guys, we need structure. Let's just say that coconuts are evil. From now on, whoever touches a coconut is a criminal. That's a social construct, just like how you said at some point someone's going to have to identify what evil is.
Right. And it's because like we could drink the coconut, so why do we determine that it's evil?
So I think it's a little more complicated than that. I think it just comes down to so for a society to function, you have to be like not trying to harm another individual, you know, and everything else after that, money, all that other stuff is made up, right?
Right. But it's like it is made up, but then at the same time, like that's also fine as long as it's not hurting anybody. You know, like if we just make things, because a lot of these philosophers talk about art because some of them are like the existentialists or absurdists who really confront the idea of nihilism and meaninglessness, and both of them, at least ones I read, were really into art because they were like, that's how we assert against us just being like, you know, take like the Rick and Morty framing of just being like random piles of atoms flying around the universe. Like we create a thing for no reason. And that is a good, you know, that's like an assertion that we are here.
So I think it comes down to like, if you believe that, then rules of war are dumb. If the idea is to win, then
any means necessary.
Yeah. So there should be no, chemical weapons are against the rules. What rules?
I think like the reason those things were implemented was, you know, that at some point the war becomes not worth winning. You know, that was
dumb. Like, if you're trying to kill your enemy,
but at the same time, but if you're using mustard gas and it's like spreading everywhere and doing damage to everyone else,
then you're dumb.
That's like the, you know, the nuclear weapon question, a war that is not worth winning at a certain point.
But see how there's a different kind of morality and social construct around that versus, you know, a common man, like, which is just me living cohabitating with my neighbors and my, like, those are two, you know, there's a different set of rules for that too.
Well, that speaks kind of to Otis's point about like, how do people become evil is because they get like socialized into this idea that's different than other people. You know, you take like a
Any
good
serial
pop culture example would be John Boyega, Finn from Star Wars.
Star
you know,
Wars.
capture him as a baby and just socialize him to say you're first order. Your job is to just go and kill whoever the guys say to kill, and that is not, you know. I also
It's like the child
started
soldiers
rewatching She-Ra and the Princesses of Power recently. And it's the same thing. Like, she was raised in the Fright Zone, and then the first episode she like finds out, oh, like we're the bad guys.
Yeah. Well, we'll wrap it up here. That's Paulo.
Well, that's Keith.
That's Daniel.
That's Otis.
And we're going to see you guys in our next existential crisis later.